I envision, tattoo, you driving down Sunrise Highway and you see the, tattoo loos or something like that. But this is coming from someone who doesn't have any tattoos. So I don't, none, no.
Me neither.
Sometimes,
Me neither.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get coffee and tattoo later.
Yeah. I know a good spot.
Staying hungry on my shoulder.
Yeah. This episode of Staying Hungry is brought to you by Vincent's Clam Bar, the maker of Vincent's Sauce, a Long Island institution for over 40 years.
Varieties include vodka sauce, tomato sauce in mild, medium, and hot, and marinara. These bold flavors can be purchased at the restaurant or at local retailers, including Walmart.
Restaurant quality, straight from the jar.
Welcome to Staying Hungry. Today's guest is Katelyn from Fortunate Hand Coffee House. So Katelyn, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yep, and it's located in Amityville.
Yep.
Right, we were just talking, not too far from, I guess, the village of Amityville.
Yeah, it's right off of Broadway, 17 West Oak Street.
Awesome, gotcha. So very unique in the sense that it's a coffee house and a tattoo parlor shop.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
We're the only one in New York, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll dig into that in a little bit. But how did you get into hospitality? You haven't been in the coffee business forever, or have you?
No, actually, I haven't.
Share with us.
My first job, I worked for Pat's Pizza in Levittown, and I kind of did everything. I did the counter. I was a line cook when he needed, and I just fell in love with it. And then my job after that was for a pretty high-end off-premise catering company, and that's where I just fell in love with long days and hospitality, serving people, serving good food, meeting all the chefs through that. It's just something I always loved. And then probably by age 15 or 16, because I started out pretty young, I knew that I wanted my own coffee shop, but I also wanted a cafe. So I didn't want it to just be coffee. I wanted it to sort of turn into a restaurant at some point in my timeline.
Okay.
So yeah.
And that's interesting to hear you say, fell in love with long days, because most say I fell in love with X, Y, Z, but long days. So you certainly weren't afraid to work.
No, always loved it.
Yeah.
My parents always raised me with a good work ethic, and I spent a lot of my childhood going to work with my dad. So I was just kind of used to it, and I just always loved working. So it works out in this industry.
What brought the coffee, as a younger teenager? Did you enjoy coffee? Or?
Yes. Even as a kid, my family was we had dinner every night together, and we always had coffee every day together. So coffee was just part of a ritual and tradition in my family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys roast coffee?
No, I wish. We used Lavazza and Illy back in the day. Honestly, Maxwell House, but it was really just the moments around our coffee that really got me into it.
Gotcha.
And then obviously I found better coffee than Maxwell House.
Yeah, we'll dig into that. But Vin's definitely a coffee guy.
Yeah, I have a espresso maker literally on my desk in my office.
Very nice.
So it's nice.
Yeah, espresso is my favorite. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
What do you use?
There's a place out in Greenport that I like, Aldo's.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will do that. I've gotten some from the place, I was in Garden City, 4-5. I've tried some of theirs.
I've heard great things about them. Yeah.
And then I've gone to, what's the guy over on that one street behind the
Giorgio's.
Giorgio's.
Yeah. Giorgio's.
You know them?
Yes, very well. Their coffee is elite. He gets very cool, funky roasts in all the time, which I really like. So they're very cool. And, in this industry, it's a lot of places, I think, just use a medium or dark roast, but he plays with a lot of different origins and light roast, which I really appreciate. He's cool.
Sorry, Vin.
I was saying that it's a science behind it. I mean, you see some of these roasters, it looks like more like a chemistry set.
It does. The graphs and everything, it's pretty intimidating. That's definitely a goal of mine, is to eventually learn how to roast. Right now I use Flux Coffee in Farmingdale. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah, we were just, someone just brought them up, I think, on the last podcast,
Pat,
I think.
Pat from Park Place.
Yeah.
Was talking about them.
Flux is great.
But if we could pause some of the, the granular stuff about coffee, because the uniqueness, you said you're the only coffee house in New York that also has tattoos.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So actually, I had a business partner back in the day, and he was a tattoo artist, and we were both really, I had just quit my job in the automotive industry, and he knew that I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and he wanted to open his own spot. And we just started looking like all over Long Island, kind of Babylon and Bayshore area for a place that could possibly be outfitted for both. Couldn't find anything. And then he lived in Massapequa at the time, and we were coming up County Line Road, and we saw the place that I'm in now, and it just looked very interesting. It looks like a little house. So we took a tour of it, somehow fell in love with it because it just needed a whole lot of work. But we saw that we can put up a partition, which is really what you need to have a hybrid business.
It's 2 separate spaces.
Yeah, 2 separate spaces. And we saw that it was big enough to put both a private studio for 2 artists and a coffee shop. Just took a little finicking to get around certain things, but we didn't know if it would work out because even the health department was like, we've never heard of this, but we just wanted to do both, and it worked out.
What year was that?
It was actually 2022. So it took a long time to open, but it started in January of 2022.
Oh, so this is the start of your 4th year.
Yes. Well, technically, the tattoo studio opened January of 23, and then I opened February of 24.
Oh,
so this is the start of my 3rd year.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So that's what you're saying. That's how long it took you to
we were both very young. So I didn't know anything, and I just saw the landlords, and I was like, I want this spot. I'll give you a deposit. We didn't even get the keys or anything. Didn't know what a lease would look like. I just wanted to hold on to that spot. So we didn't sign a lease until like 8 months later after seeing it and putting a deposit down.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you going to ask, Vin?
I was going to say, are they both connected in some, like, can you go from the coffee house to the, all from interior?
Yes, there's the main entrance, and then there's a south entrance, and then we just have a little glass door as a partition in between the studio and the cafe.
So you can't like sit at the counter and watch someone get a tattoo?
No, I don't think anyone would want to. But yeah, some people thought it was kind of like we were doing tattoos like behind the counter, but it's nothing like that. Yeah, it's a small private studio in the back. It's cute though.
How have you seen, like, running a coffee shop? It's very competitive. There's a lot of them. It's kind of changed, I think, with the influx of like a Starbucks and Dunkin', and where it seems like they became too corporate and gave opportunities back to the local coffee house to become what a coffee house was. Talk us through like how that experience has been from a competitive standpoint.
It's definitely been challenging, but I do have like a no competition mantra, which I think has helped me the most. It's kind of just like keeping your head down and just perfecting what you want your craft to be. A lot of people, they go to a coffee shop that is, I think everything's pre-made and they just want a quick cup. I think for me, it's just sticking to the niche of everything is very specific. It's not a fast shop. It's not like the place that you go when you're in a rush on the way to work. Everything is completely made from scratch. So I think my menu, my programs, and the way that I go about my business kind of sets me apart from other coffee shops, which does kind of help individualize my brand or shop a lot. So I don't really, and it sounds corny, but I haven't looked at other coffee shops as competition, especially not bigger ones like Starbucks or big chains. I don't want to be a chain. So I think like if you walked into my shop, you would immediately know it's very mom and poppy. It's not, it looks like my apartment. I didn't want something to feel sterile or corporate or like it's sort of gimmicky. I just wanted it to be, this is what I love to make and serve myself and my family, and I want to do the same for my customers.
What other products besides coffee do you have, like a menu?
Yeah, so it's kind of different every day. I sort of approach it like a menu du jour vibe, just because if you saw my space, I don't have a real kitchen. I just use one hot plate from Amazon. I have one fridge. I don't have a basement or really any storage space, so everything gets made every single day.
How big is the coffee shop?
It's like a little under 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then the kitchen space, it's very cramped. And again, it's only one fridge. I have good equipment, but very little of it. So in the beginning, I was doing more of a savory menu, like egg bites and like frittatas, and now I kind of have emphasized baking because that's what people like. And it's also, I'm trying to work out some equipment purchases so I can emphasize more of a savory menu, because a lot of people think I'm a baker, but I'm really a cook. But it's really just what my space can, or capacity of my space can handle. So I've tried to just stick to more cakes, cookies, pastries, and then a little bit of a breakfast item here and there. But my goal is to have a pretty big food menu. So,
in that space?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like another location, maybe for production, but this space, if I just got a little more equipment, I could probably get a bigger menu in there.
Got it. And Katelyn, your knowledge of cooking and baking, self-taught, I guess learned through
for the most
pizzeria
part,
and catering company?
Honestly, I think I was taught how to cook before walking. My mom was such a good chef, and also my nonna owned bakeries in Brooklyn, so it's not in my blood, but every single day that I can remember as a kid has always started out with some sort of cooking or baking, and I ended up just loving it a lot, so I kind of took over cooking for my family, and I would cook different dinners every night, just always had free range to experiment in the kitchen. And my mom, she was a killer in the kitchen. She could cook anything, make any kind of dessert, which is, I think, very helpful because it gave me a good baking knowledge too, which I did not expect. I never thought I'd be a good baker, but it kind of just came through as I was doing my day-to-day.
So that's where the hospitality,
yes,
cooking.
Very big Italian family, so everyone was always in the kitchen.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. These scratch cook Italians, you know.
Yeah, we do it best.
Well, after she said,
coming from one,
we all have dinner,
Yeah.
we all have coffee together. Most parents are like, no coffee until you're an adult.
I think they put it in my bottle, honestly. They had the little mocha pot on the stove.
egg, milk, and coffee.
Yeah, that was always it. Just, we had a mocha pot and then like a regular coffee brewer, but the mocha pot is what definitely got me into it.
You go to other coffee shops to get a feel for other stuff going on, or
honestly, I
yours
don't.
is yours.
Yeah, mine is mine, and I really don't have much time. I'm open 6 days a week. I obviously work 7 days a week. And it's kind of hard, I think, to go into another coffee shop. Not hard, but just finding the time, and then everything kind of ends up as like a field trip, or I'm not just going in to sit down and have coffee. I not know everyone, but for the most part, I know a lot of the owners in the shops on Long Island. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just go if I want to see them. Yeah. But I spend a lot of time perfecting my cup, so I usually just go into my own shop for it.
How many you have seating? How?
It's very small. I can only fit 15, but I have an outdoor area, which is really nice, so I can fit another like 12 or so outside.
Do you find that as like a problem? Because I've heard from other coffee shop owners that, you know, now that everyone's like remote, people will literally just set up shop at a table in your coffee place and like work there from the day and, you know, take up that seat. And, you know, if they're only buying 1 cup of coffee every few hours, it takes away from all the other guests. Does that become a problem at all? Honestly,
it has before, but very rarely. I kind of love when I see people camp out for the day. Yeah. A lot of people for this location, I notice it's a lot of locals. Like my local retention rate is pretty high, but a lot of people travel to me, so they don't usually just come to Amityville to come to Fortunate Hand. They usually have a whole day plan, so they'll stay for a couple minutes and then go about their day. But I notice the people that sit, it's my favorite because they'll all like sit and talk to each other or kind of create their own friend group within sitting next to each other because it's very small. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of cool, and kind of my favorite part is like watching people go about their work day or just like making my spot where they want to work from. So I actually really like that. I don't mind if someone, don't get me wrong, don't get a cup of water and sit there for 6 hours. That's not a thing. But I just love seeing that, or seeing people become really comfortable there. That's the best part of it, is being a space in a community like that. So I don't mind that.
Is today the only day you actually close?
Yes.
Okay, that's why you're today.
Yep.
Got it.
Eventually I'll open on Mondays, but I kind of like being open for only 6 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gives you a chance to recharge a little bit.
Yeah, I usually use it as my prep day, going to Costco, all the ins and outs and stuff that I have to do behind the scenes. And
you have, is it fair to say, baristas?
Yes. So it started out as just me for almost the whole first year, which had its pros and cons for sure. And now I have one full-time, Jess, and then I also am actually going to make my other girl, Nadia, full-time come April.
Okay.
So it's pretty big. It's only 2 people, but it's a lot because we work so close together.
Sure.
And payroll was something I was not expecting to be such a challenge. So I'm kind of glad that I have such a small team. I don't mind it.
Did you have a relationship with those 2 individuals before you opened up? Or?
Yes, they were actually both my customers before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was very cool. So they were just coming in almost every day and then asked for a job. And I knew that they both worked in coffee, so it worked out pretty good.
So how's it been? I know you said you is your partner, are you still partners with the person that?
No, actually. So before, like my first year of business was just a trip because I had to buy out my business partner in the middle of trying to figure out how to run my business. And he was a tattoo artist there, and he actually just left and went to a really good shop a couple weeks ago and just started that journey. But we're still great friends. We had a very amicable buyout. It just worked out that I was going to be the sole proprietor and he wanted to move on. So
going to the current tattoo, is that you own that?
Yes.
And then you just have artists that
Yeah, so I have just independent contractors that work for themselves, make their own hours. I have just one girl, Jess, right now, and I'm looking for another artist. But it's nice. I like the idea of having that sort of rental income. It was just a part of my business plan. It's not that I love tattooing. I'm very heavily tattooed, and I love that industry, but it wasn't something I did on purpose. It was more so just the way it worked out at the time because of working with my business partner. But I actually really love having a tattoo studio back there. It kind of opens the door to people that never wanted to get a tattoo, getting their first tattoo when you don't expect it, or people walking into a tattoo shop. Usually there's like a stigma around it, but then they come in and they're like, oh, this is also a tattoo shop. It's really cozy. So that's a good positive in it.
The hours are similar I mean, no one's coming at 6 o'clock in the morning for a tattoo.
No, it's usually 10 o'clock, and she sets her own schedule. So she's usually Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and she does walk-ins and appointments. So it's usually from 10 to 5.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. I envision, tattoo, you're driving down Sunrise Highway and you see the, tattoo loos or something like that. But this is coming from someone who doesn't have any tattoos. So I don't, none. No.
Me neither.
Sometimes, huh?
Me neither.
Yeah, well, maybe we can get coffee and tattoo later.
Yeah. I know a good spot.
Staying hungry on my shoulder.
Do you have anything related to coffee tattoos?
I do. I actually have my logo. That's my business logo. It's obviously a hand holding a coffee plant and a rose. A rose is a very typical tattoo symbol, so I wanted to have something that represented both. And I'm going to eventually get a little mocha pot tattooed, but nothing too crazy yet.
Do you get the tattoos at your own?
I did, yeah. Brendan has been my artist. That was my business partner,
okay.
Brendan Grimes. He was my artist before we even started for the last 6 years. So I get 99% of my tattoos by him. And then I just got tattooed by Jess finally as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what has been, I always find, and I think a lot of our listeners are always looking to get into the business, right? Or whether it's the hospitality or just business in general. What was that you found the biggest obstacle in your first 2 to 3 years of
How long do you have?
We got, yeah.
Honestly,
Rob, how long do we have? We got time.
As long as we need to go.
Yeah.
There's different waves of that. I would say the way we went about it, we did everything ourselves. So we didn't hire a contractor. I ended up co-contracting with my friend Rudy, which shout out to Rudy, because without him, I would not have been able to do this. We both came from sort of carpentry backgrounds, and I came from the automotive industry, so I knew a pretty decent amount about business and building. And my dad also taught me a lot of things growing up. So we thought that we could build it ourselves, and we thought our original budget was going to be perfect. We thought we knew everything, and you definitely don't. So I would say number one thing is just always be willing to learn and to fail, because you don't actually fail if you don't give up, which is corny, but you're going to just get a lot of no's, and there's always going to be a challenge every day. So between starting out and not knowing anything about coffee or the restaurant industry as far as the back end of it was a very big challenge. Making my own business plan. I worked with one of his friends to make my own plans on CAD. Just doing everything from scratch, kind of like how my cafe is, was a super intense challenge, but I wouldn't have done it any other way looking back, because I think it teaches you a lot more the more mistakes that you make. So just getting through the first hurdles and like regulatory agencies and getting the permits and actually getting open was one thing. And then you open and you're like, oh, what did I just do? You know? And I think the biggest thing for me when I first opened, I did kind of think, like, because it took so long and there was a lot of hype around it, I was like, oh, I'm going to have lines outside. I'm going to be so busy. And I had like 2 customers a day for the first few months. So that was a big challenge. And then
what did that feel like?
It was, at the time, it felt pretty terrible. There's a really funny picture of me kind of crying on the floor, like in a mess of stuff. And I wasn't even crying because no one came. I just thought that I was doing something wrong. And I think in this world of Instagram and social media, every place looks so successful with these beautiful videos, or you always see people posting online about other spots. So you immediately compare yourself to a place that's been established for 5 to 10 years already. So I had to really pull back and create more realistic expectations and kind of forget about my business plan, because I think that's another thing. I'm very number based and to the book. So I was like, I'm not hitting my projections. I'm gonna have to close. But I think there were so many things, or so many obstacles every day, that I just eventually learned how to sit back and just kind of go with it more, which has been a big blessing, and learning how to stress less and just go by that. But it was really hard. I didn't think that, also because I'm self-taught, that like no one was taking me seriously, no one was going to come in. I knew that my coffee didn't suck because it was very good, but I just knew that the location and everything kind of made for a bigger delay in getting more eyes on me. So that was a mental challenge for sure. But then there was like a moment where everyone had heard about us and it became pretty busy, and it's been a steady increase since then. So that feels really good.
Nice.
They always say when you're budgeting something, double it. And when you're doing like a pro forma projections, cut it in half.
Yeah, that's good. I'm 10 times over my original budget. I thought I could open a coffee shop with spare change. And on paper, I could have, but that's just not how it ends up working out, especially when I didn't know how many steps there actually were, because no one tells you. There's no blueprint to open a business. So
yeah, and you get held up by, permits. I mean, we just dealt with it, it's sitting on someone's desk to be signed, and it's like,
yep.
Well, sign it.
That's also, I'm so glad that I did my own, my own permits. I had an expediter, and then I fired him in 2 weeks, and I was like, I can do this myself. And it also gave me a chance to have really good relationships with those agencies and the building department, health department, the sewers. And I think it also teaches you, or at least if you go about it that way, there's nothing you don't know. So it's like if someone's skipping a step or not doing their job, it's really just on you. And I think it just teaches you so much more about building, especially in food, because there's a lot of steps you have to go through and a lot of permits.
What was the space prior?
It was a doctor's office. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Drastically different.
Yeah, complete demolition, renovation. There was like 8 rooms in the spot. Now it's a pretty open floor plan. It was a lot different.
You know that feeling.
Yeah. It's fun though.
The first space we thought was, going to be our expansion wasn't, and it was a doctor's office with 8 offices.
Yeah.
It's like a hallway and
yep. Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
This will be easy.
I know. I thought the same thing. I was like, we just have to get rid of this drywall. We'll be fine. It needed everything. It needed all new bones. Yeah.
And you leased the space.
Yes.
Got it. So essentially, you had to fit it out to accommodate the coffee shop and the tattoo parlor.
Yeah.
Did the construction start for both at the same time?
No, we weren't able to do that. We had to do 2 separate certificate of occupancies. Right. Okay. So the renovation for the tattoo studio, at least the way that we did it, was a lot quicker. It was only a few months, or it was about 4 months with permits and from the day that we were able to open. So we did that renovation first, and it was kind of in the plan that Brendan was going to tattoo and make money, and I was going to get the other side open. And that was insane because we just had this small little glass door and we were demoing tile and building walls and counter, and it was a lot. But the construction for the cafe took about 19 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so much more than I expected. No. I thought in my business plan, and I'll never forget when I sat down with Flux Coffee for the first time, they were like, when do you think you're going to open? I was like, 30 days. And he very just like nicely smiled at me. He was like, oh, that's amazing. And little did I know it was going to be almost 2.5 years later. So no, that was not in the plan.
What did you do along the way of the roughly 2 years to survive, earn a living?
Honestly, I worked every single day on the business. I was the contractor, and my plumber and my co-contractor, we had to work every day. So it wasn't like I was hiring people to build it for me. I had to actually do that.
So you weren't employed somewhere else?
No, I wasn't. I had quit my job in the automotive industry and then had started that.
Because it was going to start in 30 days.
Yeah. I sold my car and I was like, I have enough to get by, and that was it.
We're all in.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I worked every single day, night and day on that business. Yeah, it was. It was really hard. Very hard.
Family was fully supportive?
Yeah, my family was supportive. My business partner, if it was not for him, that would not have happened. He was super supportive about it. And thank God that we were able to open the tattoo side first, because if that didn't happen, we would not have been able to open with how long it took for the cafe.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when are you looking to open up the next location?
Honestly, very soon. My lease expires in a little under 2 years. I can renew it, which I'd like to. And I also want to keep the way it's outfitted with a tattoo shop the same way. So in that case, I would look for another location to have a real kitchen. Because again, I have no kitchen space. Like my counter space is this big.
Commissary type of, right at that other location, and then just feed.
Something like that, yeah. Or have the other one become more of an eatery and cafe with a much bigger menu and space and seating area.
How are the hours of the like when do you close the coffee shop? At what time?
I was 7 to 5, but this is the slow season right now, and it's a little slower than it was last year. So I cut the hours 7 to 4, and then on the weekend I'm 8 to 4, and Sunday 8 to 3. And I honestly always change it the same way I change my menus. I change my hours seasonally. So I'm hoping for spring I'll be open till around 6 and then just close early on Sunday.
How's social media kind of helped you in regards, like you said, you started off, you thought the lines were going to be out the door. 2 people show up. Did you really leverage and, just Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at all and currently?
I want to say no. Because my whole shop is organic. I try to have the same approach in my marketing, and I just post what I make. And honestly, if I utilize social media more, I'd probably be much busier. But there's something about it that I can't bring myself to do. I don't like being behind a camera or anything, and I am so busy.
You would never know.
Really? Thank you. I'm so busy that. Actually, my friend and I were just talking about it because I make everything from scratch. And in the mornings, on the weekend, I get there like 4 hours before we open, and I bake like 6 or 7 fresh cakes. And she's like, just record that. I was like, I don't want to. I'm just very into my craft, and I'm very I just keep my head down and work. So it's hard for me to pull out my phone and remember that I have to post on social media. I don't have TikTok. I don't think I ever will, but I've been trying to post on Instagram more. And if you saw my Instagram feed, you would know that I'm the one doing it. I just take a quick picture and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And it's definitely not.
Yeah, but I think that also goes to show with your authentic nature, right? Like it's not highly produced or tweaked and photoshopped. But that's what people want, right?
And I think my clients know that. I post about my pricing transparency. If something happens at the shop, I always post about it. So it's very interactive, which I think has its pros and cons. I post about everything that happens without posting everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they always know what's going on, but it's really just a day in the life of running this business kind of way.
And could you, I guess, post in a capacity where you're like, oh, I don't want to be, behind the camera, but post the process of you're baking. I think what you were describing, making these cakes hours before you even open. I mean, you're committed. This is not the Starbucks model. I mean, it's
people want to know that, right? And I think we had Meryl Zorn on from Zorn's Chicken.
I love them.
Like a year ago, right? And she's saying like, hey, a person still cuts every potato, every pepper, every whatever. I'm like, you think people assume that they know that, but they really don't.
No
right?
one does.
And that's important, right? Because why do you go to Zorn's, right? You go there because it's fresh, but to know that level of that, she's like, I'm not selling out of where could I have a machine that peels the potatoes? Yeah, she goes, it just doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't.
She goes, and I don't know if it's just in my head or if it's like it's a peeler.
No, it's true. And I love that you said that, because that's the whole spiel at my shop, is that everything is made by hand, hence the name Fortunate Hand. I don't have any stand mixer, any machine. I do everything by hand. Everything is weighed. So it's really just us working with our hands. And it's always something I've wanted to follow, because my favorite chef, or one of them, Edward Funky, he does handmade pasta, doesn't use a machine, just his wooden pole, how it's supposed to be. It's how I grew up making pasta. And I've just always preferred no machinery whatsoever. I think it takes a lot of the love out of it, and a lot of how precise you are and your intention behind what you want to serve people. So not using machinery is something I've always gone by. And I love when I see other people do that or follow that same ethic, because I think it's really important. And it also, I think it's just like an extra step in serving your community something, rather than just trying to mass produce the same thing everyone else is making. There's no like nutrition or value in that, I think. So
you need to show
I know,
in some capacity, because I mean that's so different.
I know.
I mean, in whatever you're comfortable with, I was going to ask you, where did that name come from, Fortunate Hand? And you just described it a little bit. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
It can be a deep story. Obviously, the hand part, excuse me, is because everything was handmade. And that was actually my business partner's idea, was the hand part, because obviously tattooing, you need your hands. And I've always just said our hands are our greatest gift and tool in life. And I've always been like a smell the roses kind of guy. I've always been just like very grateful, and I've always said, at least, I'm always very grateful and fortunate to have the life that I have. I was also, and again, it's going to get deep, really quick story. I was adopted, but I was adopted by my own blood. So my blood aunt and uncle adopted me. And I've always said my whole life that I'm very fortunate to avoid foster care. So it was kind of like a play on those words. And I always said the fortunate four, as in my four parents. So he knew that, and he was like, let's use the word fortunate. And then we couldn't find the second word to the name. And then we actually went to Spain. So we opened our LLC, and then he had a trip planned with his mom to go to Spain. And he was like, you need to come, like we need to unwind before we start this venture. I ended up going, and we noticed that on all like the old doors were a bunch of metal or wooden or gold hands. And we were like, let's do Fortunate Hand. And it just kind of worked out that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice story.
Yeah.
It's no one could ever take that away from you.
No, it's very original. Yeah. And it's something I want to keep for my whole life. I love that name. But the social media thing, it's funny. I have a lot of people, because I have a very high retention rate with my customers, but I also still have new customers every day. And a lot of them don't believe that I make everything in-house because of how small it is. And I have one little tiny oven on my counter. So maybe I'll like attach a GoPro to my forehead and show people that I make everything.
Yeah, somebody has to get some of that action, because consumers, your clients need to know that.
Yeah. People like putting a face behind a product too. So I have to eventually get over it and just start posting on social media more, which I'm trying, but we'll see.
Nice.
It's not easy to get comfortable in doing that, but like Mike said, just even, and that's what we said before we started the show, like, why did we want to do this type of podcast? It's like for that, really. I guess in its most simplest form is the stories that the guests come on, and we end up sitting here going, you need to tell more of that story.
Yeah.
Because like you said, trying to compete one way or the other with the big box companies, right? We do it, you do it in different ways, is that, people want that authentic kind of relationship with their vendors now because they have the opportunity to do it.
Absolutely.
They could get really high quality stuff that's good for you. And that's the other thing we always say with social media, people are so educated now with what they're putting into their body and what they need to avoid putting into their body, and having options that that are at a price point that's doable, they're going to opt for that. And I think that holds true for what you got, for what you do as well.
That's the one thing I definitely post on social media about a lot is my products and my pricing transparency. Because I'm in Amityville, I wanted to make sure, even though I'm organic and made from scratch, that I was still accessible to every sort of class level that there is. And I didn't want anyone to feel like they couldn't purchase something. So I do post on social media a lot about my products because no one uses my ingredients, and ingredients are such a big part of it. And a lot of places, I think, again, everyone is into like the quickest way to do things, or forget about like that like pausing moment of why people come into a shop. Because again, social media, you can get anything anywhere. Everyone knows everything. So you really do have to set yourself apart from why people are going to spend their money with you. And I've always been very big into nutrition, and just watching my family have a lot of food illness or food related illnesses. I just knew I did not want that to be the case for my spot, and like to show people that you don't need to eat like rice cakes and peanut butter. You can indulge and it not be bad for you. So I do post about that a lot. So I think that's quite helpful.
And you have right around the corner, you have Mike, right, who is with the pizza and the Mike's Underground, of where it's all
makes his own
different
bread,
floured bread, and it's just the difference that like people say all the time, oh, you could go to Italy and you could have gluten allergies, celiac. When you go there,
nothing. I didn't eat dairy for 10 years. I went to Spain. I was eating cheese every day. Didn't have a problem.
It's crazy.
It really does matter.
Not processed.
Yeah, exactly.
Katelyn, do customers come from a further distance than you would think because of the offering, the organic? If someone has allergy, peanut,
I was just about to say that we're 100% nut free, which is really cool because a lot of people won't go into a bakery or a place that does offer food and baked goods because of cross-contamination. I can't certify myself as nut-free because I do use coconut sugar and sometimes coconut milk. And for some reason, the coconut products are a little weird about. But I'm 100% nut-free. So a lot of people, I actually just met a couple. They come all the way from Selden. Wow. I have a guy that comes from New Jersey for my cookies because they're nut-free, and his daughter is super sensitive and anaphylactic to that. So that has been the coolest thing, is hearing how far people travel. And it's a lot of my customers. Again, I have good locals, but a lot of them travel from a few towns over at least.
You got to take a picture with them.
I know.
Put it out there.
Should.
Hey, all the way from Selden, New Jersey.
I know.
Whatever,
I got to get over the camera thing.
Yeah.
I know. But that's been very cool.
Even your staff, maybe they want to hop in a picture.
They definitely don't.
They definitely don't.
We're all the same in that regard, but we'll get there.
How's like, I think Mike touched on a little, but how's your family been with your success of the shop? And like you said, you grew up being very tight. How's that?
They love it. My dad and my sister, they live in South Carolina, so they're rooting for me from afar, but they're so proud, which is very cool. They were both able to come up a couple times and see the cafe, and they've known that I wanted to do this for a really long time, and they know my passion for nutrition and for food. So they love it. My nephew also really loves it. He thinks it's the coolest thing. So that's been really nice. We're very close in that regard. So it's cool. They just live super far away.
Yeah.
But
it's like the New York migration going. Yeah. Carolina.
They're actually going to come up for Easter. I'm going to close the shop for Easter weekend. And we do, I don't know if you've heard of it, if you're Italian, pizza rustica. Mm-hmm. So we're going to close the shop and bang some pies out.
Just for personal.
Just for us, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's like a big family reunion. Yeah, it is. That's another thing that really got me into the kitchen, was doing that every year as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Pretty awesome. I mean, that's like an old school pizza.
Yeah. Our recipe is over 100 years old. So
wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Save a little for us.
Yeah, I'll bring some in.
Have you had time since you opened to really get away? Like take more than like a day or two off?
Definitely not. I actually closed my shop for the last week in January because I didn't see my family for 2 years. So I was like, enough is enough. I have to go down there, and I was able to visit them. But then we had that blizzard. So I came back like a few days early, but I was able to spend 2 solid days with them, which was really nice. But no, I'm actually, this year is like, that's my goal, is to get away for a few days and remember that I'm allowed to do that. But I don't really mind not having time off. Even on my days off, I'm at my shop and I love it. It's not in like a bad way. It just, every single day, it's like my baby.
Right.
So I just like working on it or being there, making a new recipe. The only tough thing is like not having my family in New York. They moved down to South Carolina 7-ish years ago. But other than that, I really don't mind working every day. I love it. What else would I do?
How important is it to have a great team around you? I think that's always like
common theme.
The common theme of,
it's
like whether it's going, all right, I want to go away for more than one day. You got to have the trust in the people that are there.
Yeah.
So how's that been?
It's been, it's definitely the most important thing. And I think that in the beginning, I thought I could do it all alone. And I tried. I worked over 100 hours every single week alone at the cafe. And then I hired my first person, and then it was my second person. And now I've had these 2 girls for over a year. And that has been the best. Like Jess and Nadia I would not be able to do it without them, especially as not even just for the working part. We're all just very close and have a really good relationship. And that's something I've always wanted. I don't want work to be some sort of stressful thing. And just having that sort of camaraderie and support I don't think I'd be able to do it or do this without them. Not that the public can be like a little unforgiving, but when you work in food, you're obviously opening yourself up to a lot of critique. So there is sometimes that when that comes, like I would not be able to handle it if I didn't have those girls. And they just work very hard with me. And it's just nice having people around you, I think, because it can be isolating.
Do you see like aspirations from them to like want to be more involved? Like if you go and open up a second location that they would want to.
They're very hungry, which is really important.
Okay.
We all have that in us, which I think is nice. Jess helps me with my menu, which isn't something I never expected because obviously I like to control my own thing. But having Jess help me creatively sometimes, and then having Nadia, who's like a little younger than me, just want to work more and more and want to like leave her job and come work for me is really, really cool. They see a lot of potential in Fortunate Hand and where it can go. They know that I want a restaurant, and it seems like they would love to work there as well. So it's just like it's really cute, actually. It's like, it's just fun all the time. And it's fun even with having so much work to do, because it is a lot. And especially with prep and service, and everyone wears a lot of hats just to keep every day to day keep going. But they love it, which makes me love it even more. So
you say restaurant, which most people that are like, all right, I'm going from a coffee shop, they would never want to do a restaurant. What's like, I guess, what's your thinking behind that? Like, why is it just like a goal of yours that to expand that, to move up to a restaurant? Yeah.
And I don't think I would want a traditional restaurant. It almost feels like this is just practice to that. And it's something I've wanted, because a lot of people always say you have to pick one thing, and I've never been that way. And I've wanted to perfect my coffee program as much as rule out a really good food program. And really what you need is just manpower and like the will to do it, which I don't have the manpower yet. But that's all I've wanted to do is feed people. And not just dessert, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. So that restaurant, I would still want to be a coffee shop. It would close pretty early, and then at night turn into a tapas, artisanal type of small menu restaurant. Just about serving people seasonal fruits and vegetables, really good grass-fed meat, and just like organic dairy, just kind of the same thing I'm already doing, just on a bigger level.
If you had the kitchen to...
Yeah, if I had the kitchen... Absolutely.
You think the possibility of moving Fortunate Hand coffee shop into where it checks both, or it'd be independent of each other? Hard to say.
I can't see myself giving this location up. I would like to keep it for forever, at least as the flagship location, or just having everything run through there, and then most likely having a complete separate location if it were to be a bigger eatery and restaurant.
Got it.
Yeah.
Would you do another Fortunate Hand and tattoo parlor combined, or?
No, I don't think I would. I would keep this one if it works out that way.
Yeah.
But if it didn't work out, I'd be okay with that too.
Got it. And then I think before we started, airing, you talked about like the beans, sourcing and all that, and wanting to roast on your own. How far away are you from possibly doing that?
Very far, I would say. I always have said slow and steady wins the race, and I really want to do my due diligence with that. And I would probably need a mentor and really dive into learning that process of roasting, because not just anyone can do it.
And you need the space for it, right?
Yeah, you need the space. It's a completely different world in permitting for some reason with the health department. So I'm pretty far away from that. I would say at least like 3 years or so.
Okay.
But I really just want to make sure that I've perfected my product before I move on to anything else. So I'm not the kind of person that likes to rush into things. I just want to make sure this Fortunate Hand puts out a perfect cup every single time, puts out perfect baked goods or food every single time. And then once I've hit that, I can worry about the next thing.
Got it. And you said Flux Coffee, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. How often do you engage with them? Is there a need to, or you simply just wholesale from them?
Yeah, I used to go every single day. So they started off as my favorite coffee shop. And then when I had posted that I was starting this venture, one of the guys reached out like, hey, use our coffee. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I think the first thing I did was like order furniture before I even knew what coffee I was going to use. So once that happened and I developed an even closer relationship with them, it was great because they came in and they taught me basically everything because I was self-taught. So they had to teach me how to use my new La Marzocco, taught me about latte art, just a lot. The owner and his team are great.
Do they roast?
They roast all of their own coffee. They're huge wholesalers.
Do they roast in Farmingdale?
Yeah, actually, I think they just moved to a location in Plainview, not at their shop. They had a roasting location. But that was another reason why I wanted to use them, because they're super involved in training, and I can always ask them anything, and I would just email them every single question I had, and they would always answer. And they're great people. Their whole team is just super nice, which is something I've always wanted, and their customer like relationships and values. So I would not change who I use.
Nice.
Yeah, they're great.
And you mentioned earlier about maybe collaborating with Mike from Vittorio's. In what way? Could you share?
Honestly, no idea. When we met, we just said that we would eventually get together and do something. I met him through my friend Al Fenza. He did a video on my shop, and I think he like brought him in for espresso, and it was like the first time we tried.
Okay.
He tried something, but I get Mike's Underground almost every single day.
Wow. Yeah,
I'm a big creature of habit. So I would love to do something with him, but I have to prove to people that I actually cook, because a lot of people just think it's coffee and baking.
Okay.
So I'll get in the kitchen with him. Yeah.
His bread, pizza.
It's so good.
Solid.
Yeah.
We're pretty close, but I guess just far enough that we don't get from him that often, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, him and Severio's I get all the time.
Yeah.
They're so good.
But again, it's using the right ingredients.
Yeah.
Not selling out and going the cheap route and what's easy.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's the most important thing. I always want to support any place that like integrity behind their product is their highest priority, and you can tell it, you can taste it.
Yeah.
Do you ever chat with them at Severio's, Sam or Emily?
No, honestly, I'm pretty shy, so I like to just like stick to my own thing, keep my head down. I know I have to be better with that. I have to. That's my goal for this year, is to start networking a little more, get my girls at the counter more hours. This way I can like go and actually network and meet other people, because I just live at the shop.
Do you do anything with what would it be, Amityville Chamber of Commerce? Or?
Yeah, I'm in the chamber. We also have like a women in business group as well. But that's still like my problem, is that I spend all of my time at the shop, so I don't really get to go to those meetings. They're always like when I'm working my shift at unfortunate hand during service. But the chamber is great. Amityville has been super supportive. All the local businesses around me have been super supportive. It's a very cute upcoming village, so
yeah, a lot of
it's very nice.
Revitalization. I know they're putting up a couple of smaller apartment buildings, so there's definitely an influx of new
retailers.
Retail. Mike is actually, I think he's doing some expansion over there. You know, I see all the wood up in front of the restaurant. I just lost my train of thought. There are any charities near and dear to you that you support?
Honestly, just the American Heart Association and St. Jude's.
Okay.
Yeah, they were always charities that my mom donated to, so they're really the only ones I know about. Mm-hmm. But other than that, that's really it.
Nice. And what about technology? Not the social aspect of it, but do you use a POS system, or are you old school in the sense of, is there handwritten tickets?
There was in the beginning, but I finally started using Clover for a little over a year now, and Clover is great. I'm very glad I switched over to that because it was a little too archaic the way I was doing things. It's not sustainable. But Clover is amazing. But that's really it for technology.
Okay. You see the benefit of it?
Yes, definitely. Especially...
you don't use any of the third party like Uber Eats or anything.
No, and I never will. No, I think it just takes away from the intimacy of the experience, and I'm serving a product that has been perfected in my eyes or has been worked on, and it's supposed to be consumed a certain way. So I think once you add DoorDash and Uber Eats, you're not serving people the same thing. So I don't ever want to do a delivery app or anything.
Well, I was going to say, and you may have answered already, but you like to see your family 2 years before you had done so. Evening comes, how do you unwind in any capacity? I mean, you have to turn off work at some point.
That's something I'm learning how to do, I think. That's been a very big challenge out of all of this, I would say. Giving advice to someone would be learn how to enjoy your life outside of your business. Don't make your business your life, although I need to take my own advice. But in the summer, I'm a different breed. There's the beach. I can go to the beach before I open. Even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll go to the beach or go at night. And then honestly, just music. Music is a very big part of my life. So I just blast either heavy rap or jazz or something really old. And I just try to ground myself. I would say my unwind routine is pretty funny. I just need to not be stimulated and just listen to music, hang out with my cats. I don't really watch TV or anything, but then it kind of ends up back onto my business, and I'll just think of a new recipe or go into my admin.
Mind starts wandering.
Stuff. Yeah, that's really hard to do. So I can't say I do that well.
You can't turn off passion.
No, you can't, and I don't. And I think my first year, it was in a negative way. I was all stressed, but now I realize that stress isn't really a thing. You just have to process your thoughts and come up with an action plan. And once you do that and you figure out that not everything is going to be solved in one day, you just keep going. But it's little moments. It's I have Jess open for me, so I don't have to get to work at 5 a.m. and then get home at 8 p.m. every day. So I close every day, which I rather. So stuff like that helps, not having to get up every single day at 3 a.m. And just do that on the weekends. So small little changes like that help me unwind a lot.
It's not stress. We say it all the time, is that, it's stress you ask for, right? Yeah. And that's a different type of stress, I guess I always say.
Absolutely. There's a quote.
Stress out for someone else is business is very different than stressing out for your own. Right?
Yeah. There's a quote I love, and it's basically, it's just a blessing to be tired from doing what you love, and that's really what it is.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to create jobs for other people. Even as a kid, I've just always been wired like this. So I don't actually get overwhelmed at being tired. Sometimes I'll hyperfixate on one problem, and that would in turn stress me out. But even that I'm getting better with. So it doesn't really feel it doesn't feel that way anymore. So I don't know. I just love it.
Would you do it all over again?
Absolutely.
Differently?
much differently and probably a lot better knowing what I know now and all the mistakes that I made.
You think you could open in less than a year if you had to?
No, and I wouldn't want to. And no permit would allow that anyway.
Gotcha. Would you buy an existing food space to maybe cut the amount of time down? I guess as long as you like the space.
Honestly, I want to say yes, but I know myself and I just like building everything from scratch. And I would want just my own standalone business and then to do it all over again, but do it the right way. So I would hire a contractor, but I would make him work with me. I would probably do my own permits again. But I would want to create a space from the ground up that I know needs that would give me everything I need. And a lot of the time, places that are already outfitted, you don't always get that. So it really depends. Like if it was the best building ever and I fell in love with it, sure. But I'd rather just build something from the ground up and actually own it, not lease it.
That's usually important.
Yeah.
Definitely. Where do you see yourself? 5 years, 10 years? 10 coffee shops? 2? A cafe?
Definitely not 10. I don't believe in having too many locations. I would want, in 5 years, I would say I would want this location to be doing well and then have my production site, which hopefully could be a cafe as well, where people could sit down and have lunch or breakfast and lunch. And then in about 10 years, I would have that restaurant where it would be coffee in the morning, probably no lunch, and then have a very solid dinner menu available. Be open for wine and drinks and stay open pretty late. With the same sort of approach to how I do things. Well, exactly the same. Yeah. But everything by hand, everything small batched and made intentionally. But that's definitely on the 10-year side.
Is that blueprint drawn already?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, I have a closet. Like yeah, my closet is full of, I don't like saying vision boards, so I just say construction boards and a very, very involved business plan for every single idea. So it's well prepared.
Would you encourage others to, follow in your steps or some capacity of it?
I think so. I think as long as someone's passionate and driven and has the work ethic, I think that they should definitely do whatever it is they love, as long as you want to put the time into it, whether that's food or tattooing or automotive or anything. As long as you love it and you want to work for it, I think you can do it. I think that if you don't want to work a lot and you don't want to deal with, I don't know the right word, but like a challenge every single day, then you shouldn't. But I think that people are super passionate. And especially now with social media, I think a lot more inspiration is around for people. So if they want to do something, I think they should do it.
Nice.
Maybe not the way that I did it. I don't think you should open a coffee shop with a really small budget and just a hot plate. I think that I've learned a lot and I wouldn't do some of the things that I did again, but there's a right way to do it.
Lesson learned.
Yes.
We all have our path.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having
definitely,
me.
Definitely check Katelyn out. Fortunate Hand Coffee in Amityville. And my son, he does have a tree nut allergy. So
awesome.
He doesn't drink coffee yet, but
okay.
I can. And I could take him over to his,
you won't have a single worry. We don't even have almond milk.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and what you mentioned is not a concern of his, but when you do have an allergy concern, it's real.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring him by to see you and the girls, and
awesome. We love that.
We'll say hello and check out the space. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This episode of Staying Hungry is brought to you by Vincent's Clam Bar, the maker of Vincent's Sauce, a Long Island institution for over 40 years.
Varieties include vodka sauce, tomato sauce in mild, medium, and hot, and marinara. These bold flavors can be purchased at the restaurant or at local retailers, including Walmart.
Restaurant quality, straight from the jar.